hope everyone saw Norman's presentation where we had a lot of new interesting new products, and also a lot of them are dedicated for the LTE. So I will talk a little bit about this topic, how to use it, what are some advantages, disadvantages, and so when all the products will be out, you will know what to get, what modem to maybe buy, or how to configure everything. So at the beginning, what you need to do is decide or check your market or technology. So there's multiple hardware types of modems. So if you talk about LTE modems, it could be two types. It could be as USB modem, simple USB dongle. Usually it looks like an USB flash drive. So you stick it into the laptop, get a connection to the internet, and you can also use the same USB modem and also attach it to the router and also get LTE connection to your router as well. And we have also a mini PCIe modem version. It's more for the industrial version, so you can also use those. Here you can see the pictures, how one looks and how the other looks. So next time when you look for LTE modem, you will know what are the differences. So let's talk about advantages and disadvantages of each of this type. So if you got like a USB stick, usually it's very small, portable. You can put it in a pocket, you can carry it on, and it works on almost any USB port. So you can plug it in any laptop, almost any router board that has USB port. Sometimes it's also subsidized by the provider, so you can get it very cheaply or even sometimes for free if you get a contract. But there's some disadvantages to this technology as well. One of the disadvantages as LTE modem is getting faster and faster. They require more power. And sometimes USB slot, maybe on laptops or even on some routers, doesn't have enough current or not enough power to power those devices, those LTE devices. So you can see that it works, and sometimes if you start pushing very hard, the traffic, it somehow could be some problems. So sometimes you need to plug some external powered USB hub, which adds additional cost, and your setup gets more complicated. Also, another disadvantage is that since the LTE modules, the USB ones are very small, you cannot put high gain antenna on top of it. So usually it's very small, just to get connection, just for your personal use. You cannot like put it and distribute for a whole company. Maybe it's possible, but not recommended. And usually there is no external connector for that as well. So it's very hard to get higher gain. Of course, you can like take it out and solder some connection to it, but it's not what it's designed for. And also, if you want to make a compact and a great-looking solution, usually that USB port is on the edge, and it will be sticking out, and it will be not so good visible, or somebody can like steal that modem, or just usually will be changing your modems very often. So, and about the mini PCIe modems. So the advantage is that it's great for integrated solutions, as it's very small and it's designed for industrial use usually, not like previous USB modem, which are more for like home use. And definitely has external antenna connector, as usually there's no built-in antenna on the module itself. It has UFL connectors where you attach your cable, and at the end of the cable you attach an antenna. And also, usually those modems has better driver support, more customization. You can do more stuff with them. You can see more statistics, more control of the modem. But only two disadvantages are the first one is that it requires a board which has a mini PCI Express slot that has support for the USB pins. And the second one is usually they are higher cost than USB modems. So I think I haven't heard like a provider like subsidizing the mini PCI Express modems. So you know about the hardware. Now let's talk about software part of those modules. So let's talk about the modem software interface. There's also differences. There are two options. There are PPP emulation and Ethernet emulation on those devices. So what are the differences? So the biggest difference is that PPP emulation has a speed limit usually up to 25 megabits per second. So if you get a modem and you think it's like, oh, very high category, but you see the driver are only supported with PPP mode, you will not get your 100 megabits, you'll get to maybe up to 25 megabits only. But another maybe advantage is that usually there is, at the moment, there's a wider model range that is supported in the routers, mostly with PPP interface, because it's very easy to add support for PPP. And it's a lot harder to add support for Ethernet emulation for each module. So about Ethernet emulation. So Ethernet emulation, since like it's called like Ethernet, so you can get like very fast. So you can, if you get like modem 100 megabit Ethernet speed like from LTE, so you get 100 megabit from LTE using this emulation. But the problem is that it's there's a smaller list of supported modems, because each of these modems requires a different driver usually, and different approach, different maybe some patches and some tricks how to work it and how to make it work stable, because it's not like standardized. Every manufacturer make it something different, and you need to adjust all those changes. So that's why I suggest if you look for supported modem, look for into our forums, check which of those modems suits more. So small overview of the configurations, like how does a PPP configuration compare to the LTE configuration. So when you connect a modem that supports only PPP interface, as soon as you connect, you will get a port, USB port under a port section. So what we can do with that port? You can do two things. You can do manually, use a serial terminal, connect to the PPP, and do some AT commands and like be the guru of your modem. Or you can also rely on the PPP clients that you have built into the router OS. So you can go into the interface PPP client and configure your just created USB port. We made it automatically. As soon as you connect such modem, it will automatically create a PPP interface for you. So we make it more user-friendly. But since there's also a lot of modems, and there are different ways how to establish connection on the PPP link, there are two things that you need to think about. Is that there are multiple data and info channels. So data channel, it is a channel where the data is transmitted, which you specify in the PPP interface. And info channel is a channel where you use your AT commands to get information from the modem. Its state, technology, what it's using, the signal readings, or maybe send some SMS command. That's done in the info channel. So, and for each of those modems, those numbers could be different. Maybe for Huawei modem, it could be that data channel, it could be 0. Maybe for some other modem, it could be channel 1. So you can look into some wiki pages and check which is which. Also, from the modem times, we have also like a setting called dial on demand, and it's enabled by default. What does it mean, dial on demand? It means as soon as you plug your modem inside, you get this PPP connection, and now you see that the interface is already running. It's all, and you get an IP address, and you think, oh, I'm connected to the internet. Actually, you're not connected. So this dial on demand, what it does, it creates like a fake connection, and as soon as a client or some device triggers some packet to the internet, maybe a ping to google.com, the router checks, oh, I got a packet to my fake gateway. It means I need to go to the internet. It removes that fake IP address and route and initiates a dial-up modem for this PPP interface. And it makes connection to the internet, and your internet is started to work. So it means previously when you are not paying for the data, but you are paying for the uptime, this is a solution for you. But I think mostly this is not actual anymore. Everyone is paying more for the data, not for the uptime. But still, could be some country. You never know. So if you want to more for the data consumption, you should disable this option. As by default, it's turned on. So about LTE configuration, it's a little bit similar to the PPP, but there's no need to configure some data or info channel. It's all done on driver level, so no need for doing that. What you will get an LTE interface under Interface LTE menu. And there's another option depending on the modem what you're getting. So the configuration for the LTE modem could happen on the modem itself, like you connect the modem to the router, you get an IP address on the router, you see some local IP address, and you see the default gateway. Then you see that you get to the internet as well, but you want to configure it. And you see there's no options in the interface LTE. As you start configuring, it shows an error. So it means this modem supports web interface. So what actually it is, you need to connect to the default gateway of the modem. And as soon as you open in the browser the IP address of the default gateway from the LTE interface, you will get a modem page with all the settings. Actually, you are like connected to your modem, which acts like a router. So actually, you have a router in a router. So all this configuration is done in the web interface. You can see all the statistics, what the channel you're using, what signal readings, how many data you have spent. You can configure your APN or data settings, everything done in the web interface, not on or router OS. And the other option is everything is done in the router OS. There's no web interface. Everything is configured directly on the LTE interface. So you can configure your pin settings, say APN, everything is done on our router OS. So the first option, the web interface, usually is common on the USB sticks. The other option is more commonly used on Mini PCI Express LTE modems. So next settings are the network mode and the band settings. So hopefully everybody knows that there is a GSM 2G network, 3G network, or an LTE 4G network. So sometimes you want to enable one of them, or prefer one over another. So we have this setting. So we have a network mode setting, so you can disable or change those settings. But there's also a limitation that some modems does not allow to change that, so they have only auto options. So you need to rely on the modem firmware that it will roam from one to another. And also some of the modems support like option, like preferred option. For example, you can specify 3G, LTE in such configuration. Modem will support 3G and LTE, but it will prefer to connect to the LTE first, and only switch to 3G only when it loses connection to LTE. So, but it's also not on all the modems. Also, we have a band setting. So now, for few modems, it is possible to configure the band setting. So the question is, we already have through networks like 2G, 3G, 4G, and we have now even a band setting. It's too complex. Yes, it could be too complex, but sometimes it is great that you can use this setting. As for example, our WAP LTE kit for EU version, we have like 8 LTE band supports. So by automatically it will connect to best band, but sometimes, for example, band 3 is very overcrowded. It's the best, you are very near to this base station, it automatically connects to that band, but the speed is not so great. It's like 100 people are connected to that and downloading whole time. So, but you know that there's a little bit further away, there's band 7 tower. It's not so utilized. So with this setting, you can uncheck band 3 and check band 7. So it automatically connects to that band 7 tower and you'll get a lot faster speed. So you'll get more control over your modem. But the LTE band, the setting only applies to the LTE interface, to the LTE interface, and it doesn't apply to the LTE mode and doesn't apply to the 3G and 2G bands. So those will be always automatic. But for LTE bands, you can choose. So you can choose multiple bands, for example, 3 and 7 and 1, or just 7, or you can combine, mix and combine. So it's up to you. Or just leave it to the driver and leave it automatic. Also, there's differences about LTE address, how to get the IP address. So for the most common option is to add the DHCP client on the LTE interface, just like an Ethernet-like interface. So you will get an IP address from the DHCP client. So you just need to go into the DHCP client, add a new interface, new DHCP client, specify LTE interface, specify if you want to use a DNS or gateway, and that's all. And maybe add the masquerading rule if you want. And few modems like SXT LTE and maybe some other supports automatic address adding without DHCP client. What does it mean? It means as soon as you have this interface plugged in, you have SIM card in, it will automatically add an IP address when it connects to network. So no configuration on your side needed. Everything is done in the interface LTE menu directly. And of course, we work to the future technology, like from the previous slide. We also support IP version 6 over LTE. I don't know in which countries LTE are giving out IP version 6 addresses, but our SXT LTE and our WAP LTE kit will have support for IP version 6. So you can start asking your carrier how to get that. Another option is to send SMS messages. The question is, why do you need to send SMS messages as you don't chat with each other, like you have your own phone. So the purpose of the SMS function in the RouterOS is to do specific stuff when you receive some SMS or trigger SMS sending in a specific way. For example, if you want to like send notifications that somebody connects to your Wi-Fi, you can send an SMS that somebody connects to my Wi-Fi. You can put the MAC address into the SMS message and send it to your number specific. Or you can even, like, with special shared secret name, receive an SMS that triggers something specific script. So you can do a reset of the modem interface or reset of the wireless interface or disable something or enable something. So it's all done by scripting. But there's also two limitations that you need to take in mind. So on LTE interface, the SMS function will only work when the LTE connection is running. So it means it is established and got an IP address. So you will not be able to send or receive SMS message if you are not connected to the network. And another limitation that our SMS tool supports only GSM7 encoding for SMS. So if you send from iPhone an emoji message to your router, you will not be able to read it. Sorry, guys. Another option is GPS support for LTE modem. You already know that we have a new LTAP Mini that has built-in GPS. Without modems, there's no needed for that, but there are few modems that has a built-in GPS functionality where you can just attach a GPS antenna. So it means that if you have such modem on your hands and if you plugged into the router S, you will see that you will have LTE interface and you'll have additional USB port appeared, which you can be using manually, just like opening the serial terminal, just reading NME output, or you just can install GPS package from our webpage and use the system GPS menu where you can monitor your coordinates, speed, altitude, how many satellites you see, all done from the router OS. And of course, there is an option like init string setting, as not all the times the GPS is enabled. So sometimes you need to initiate GPS start. So you add the AT command into init start. So we talk a lot about the modems. Let's talk about the boards that supports those modems. So all the router boards that has Mini PCI Express E slot supports modem interface, except our router board 800 that doesn't. And all the router boards with the USB ports also support USB modem dongles, but with the exception of the ports, exception of the boards that uses USB for powering, like Hoplite, and some other Hapini. Also, we have an option for USB. It's very neat. Sometimes the modem could lock up. Could be different reasons. Maybe the firmware or something like happens to it, or maybe from the network side something happens. You want to initiate a new connection, but you don't have maybe access to it. You can leave some script. You can also do a power reset. So you can do reset USB power. We have a specific list under this wiki page which supports this feature. So what it actually does, it's like if you have a USB dongle, it's like unplugging the power, unplugging it back. So it's actually you are like removing the dongle from your router. Let's wait 5 seconds, for example. It's configurable the time. It could be like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 1 minute. And then it releases and attaches those lines again. You get like plugged the modem again. And the same functionality is for the Mini PCI Express slot for the LTE modem as well. We are cutting the power for the modem, also the USB lines. So we are actually like restarting the modem interface without restarting the board. So we can save time on that. So we'll upload the presentation later. You will see the wiki page where which features are supported on each board. So let's talk about one of the first LTE boards that will come this year. It will be WAP LTE Kit. Why do we have the name Kit? Kit means it will have multiple things in one. So it has a board, the case. It has a Mini PCI LTE modem inside, attached to the board already. It has two built-in LTE antennas inside the case, and it has also a table stand case. So all that comes as a kit. You'll get in one package. It looks like this if you haven't seen that. So here you can see the picture of the board. So you can see it has two antennas for 2.4. It has slot. It has a SIM slot below the PCB and powering options. So what are the features? So it has two chains for 2.4 gigahertz. So you can put it in the office or in the car or in the bus. You get connection from the smartphone, then goes to LTE and shares that to other Wi-Fi clients. It has a mini PCI slot for LTE modem, so you can replace that modem, put another modem. It has mini SIM slot for LTE modem, so it's like regular SIM slot, not. And it has two integrated antennas inside the case. And it has three powering options. It has a jack power option, it has PoE in, and it has automotive power connection. And of course, it supports passive PoE, not active one. And it has high operating temperatures, so you can put it also in a higher environment, hotter environment or colder environment as well. And it's also suitable for indoor, also outdoor, and for mobile applications as well. And it has also the WAP design weatherproof case. So here you can see the specification more detailed, like CPU, memory, and the flash. So we have like 2 dBi gain antennas for 2.4 gigahertz, and for LTE, depending on the band, because the band is from like 700 to like 2.8 gigahertz. Gain for those built-in antennas varies, so it is from 2 till 4.5 dBi for LTE. And it has Ethernet, 100 megabit Ethernet connection. And power consumption with the LTE, it's up to 7 watts. And here's the operating temperatures from minus 40 till plus 60. So what could be the usage cases, how to mount it? Everybody, I hope, knows how to mount a regular WAP board, but just a reminder that each of those WAP boards has a special place where you can mount using this hole. You can put an Ethernet cable and mount it on the top maybe of the bus or some other place, or in the wall through that socket. So you can put it in the car, bus, or boat, or any vehicle for that. It has all those parts, all the drill templates and attachments, how to mount that. And also it has all the things for the cable. So you can have a table mount, not the table, but wall mount drill template. So you can drill the holes and attach it and just click. And also the cable cutout. You'll cut the cable here, and nobody will even notice that it's a connected board because there will be no cable outside. And of course, we have a neat table option. So you can put it on the table like this, or put it near to the window. There's no need to taking a scotch tape to the glue to the window. So you can put it on table or near to the window, just like this. It will stand, it will not fall, no need for scotch tape. So, and one of the last parts is about supported LTE modems. Since RotorOS supports a lot of USB, LTE, and mini PCI modems, we have a special list in the wiki page. you can see what modem interfaces are supported. And MikroTik will have a WAP LTE kit, we'll have a bundle kit that will include the modem inside. So there is already a modem inside. And since there is like different countries, different regions like US, EU, Asia, Australia, in each of those different countries there are different LTE bands. And it's very hard and very expensive to make universal LTE modems that supports everything, as it would be very expensive to make and takes a lot of space. So each region will have a different LTE modem inside. First we'll have a EU version, and like later we'll have different US version, and there will be different LTE band supports also for 2G and 3G. So when the product comes out, you'll need to check which version is required in your country. You need to check your LTE band specification. And also we'll have an option, like if you want to build your kit yourself, we'll have an option with this board without a card inside. You can put your own card, maybe some subsidized card. I don't know who subsidizes the Mini PCI Express cards, but if you still have some pile of old LTE cards, or 3G cards, you can put it in the board. We have such option as well. Thank you for listening. So if you have any questions about LTE or new announced products about LTE, you are welcome to come at the product desk. Also remind that our 60 GHz link is up. You can see the live demo, how we're getting 1 gigabit full duplex. So you're welcome to visit me and Anton's. We can tell you more and show how it is all working. Thank you.